Today I hope to help you solve a common issue which many people have, and that is throwing a front kick and jamming your toes. I want to remove that so it never happens to you again, because I can honestly tell you that I have never jammed my toes on a front kick. Many people ask me, whoa, how does that happen? It happens all the time to me. And today I'm going to solve that problem for you. First, let me say that the inspiration for this episode came from a Zoom private. I was doing a private with two fantastic guys who work with me weekly, and they were going, oh, this is an issue that we have. And right away I started helping them, and I went, oh, I never think of this before because it doesn't happen to me, but this is a great episode. So thank you so much to these two individuals for putting me on the path to creating this episode. In addition, many of you guys have asked me about training either in person or online. Online is now available down in the description. I'm going to have my booking link. You can get yourself sorted there, get yourself scheduled into the system, and we can work on improving your technique, helping you prepare for upcoming fights, talking about fight mentality, whatever you want. And no, you don't need to be a high-level fighter to book these. I actually love working with people who have been starting off in martial arts maybe 6 months to a year and really helping them dial in their technique. So that opportunity is down there for you. It won't be forever, but for the moment, I think I have 2 or 3 weeks opened right now. So moving into the front kick. You might think you know how to execute. You're landing on the bag time and time again. You're landing with the correct portion of your foot, and yet somehow when you go into spar and people do this, you feel your toes getting jammed. What is going wrong? First thing I need to do is grab something to strike so you guys can see me actually execute, so you know what I'm talking about. So the chair is right here. Normally when we throw a front kick, we are taught the line from your hip to your knee will dictate where you're going to hit. Make a line from here to here. It'll tell me that I'm going to hit right at that chair. The problem with that is a lot of times people end up getting to this point, and as they extend their kick, they kind of lift their knee. They get to this point and then they lift, and then what happens is the kick is not going directly into the target, it's actually sliding upwards, as you can see. That is the first reason that you may be jamming your toes. And a lot of times this has to do with distance. Maybe the person's a little bit too far, they back up. You don't calculate the range correctly, but if you can learn to, instead of lift and make this line from here to here directly to where you want to go, if you can learn to go slightly higher, now when you push out, there's less likelihood of you sliding that leg upwards and kind of creating that sort of more soccer kick motion. We don't want a soccer kick motion. We want an up and through motion so that when I hit the chair, it moves backwards. Now, I used to have a lot of people get upset with me in sparring sessions because I would be here, I would go like this when they throw a front kick. Obviously, it's more ideal to catch or scoop, but you don't always have the wherewithal, or you're just too busy doing other things, blocking punches, to get down those things. So I end up going like this. So many times people would be like, Gabriel, stop doing that. I keep jamming my toes. And I'd go, that's how I'm blocking them. It's not my job to block in a way that you want. You need to change up your technique. So when somebody goes like this, if you're hitting down here, again, that's on you. You should be coming through to the forearm if they go like this and knocking them backwards. This should be a terrible way to take a front kick. Actually, you don't want to take front kicks like that. You want to actually catch or evade, because doing this means you should take a full-blown power ball of the foot to your forearm and get knocked backwards. The next thing which I would want you to note is which portion of the foot, and more specifically the ball of the foot, are you landing with? When I throw my front kick, I'm not landing with the upper portion of the ball of the foot, not the area that is right by the toes. I'm actually landing down here. And that small difference is keeping those toes so much safer. And something else which is very important, which I mentioned to the two fellows today that I was working with, is we need to actively, the entire time we kick, engage the toes so they're coming towards us. If even for a split second as I lift, I relax my toes and they're doing like this instead of that, you're definitely gonna have more trouble with those toes jamming, especially when you're loose. When these toes are loose, it's so much easier for them to get hurt. But when you stiffen something, you lock it out, it's so much safer. And that exactly happens when I round kick. If I round kick and my foot's kind of wobbly like a wet noodle, and I hit somebody in an elbow, it's gonna hurt so bad. That whole area is gonna get damaged. But if I can remember to maintain flexion, everything is so much safer. Flex your toes back, strike lower on the ball of the foot instead of higher towards the toes, and that in itself should keep you extra safe. But we're not done yet. I still have more tips for you. Something which I noted today when I was doing the Zoom private, and I've seen in a lot of people when they throw their kicks, is they bring their leg up to the front kick, but what you should note here is my heel is already very far from my glute. Now my extension is quite minimal, and what can end up happening is my kick almost prematurely lands. I'm coming here and I'm kind of sliding upwards. I would suggest you try lifting, and then when you get to this position, then firing out. And I think the toes will be so much safer just because of getting to here and then extension. And you can see, as we already talked about, I lift my knee slightly higher than I normally would if I'm going to belly button level. Come up, I chamber very tight, and then I work that extension straight out. You also have to have the ability in the moment to decide what is your opponent doing and where and how hard should I be kicking. If I see somebody's stomach is really open and I come through, I throw full power right at their belly, I know I'm going to be safe. That is why some people are very fine using toe punts to the stomach, because there's nothing hard in here. You don't really have to worry about somebody's stomach jamming your toe. But when we start getting people doing this type of thing, you have to absolutely be aware. So right now I should be deciding, should I extend full power or should I be pulling back a little bit because the guy's forearms are in the way? I can also change my front kick style depending on what they're doing. Hands are high, I can go for more of a snap. Hands come low to defend, and I come from more of a hit and drive through and a push, because I know that they're not going to get hurt. I might as well just shove them way far backwards and make it look good on the judge's scorecard. All of these small little tips, small little points are going to help you keep those toes so much safer. And again, I've never been in a situation where I've thrown a front kick and I've got it jammed, but I've seen people do it and start hopping around, cursing away because it must hurt so much. So we want to avoid that. Incorporate all these tips into some shadow boxing, try them out on the bag, and then hopefully when you start sparring, it'll just come into play naturally, and you won't have to sit there and think about everything as you're doing it. Because when you have somebody throwing back at you, the last thing you really want to be doing is thinking, oh, how am I going to throw my front kick so I don't jam my toes? We need to make it muscle memory, so you just throw that front kick and you're safe. And my opponent is the one that is going to get damaged. So those are my tips for you guys today. Let's keep those toes safe. Let's have some fun when we go and spar and not constantly jam up those toes. Eventually, that could lead to a toe break. I've seen many people break their toes and it's always off elbows, and it's because they do their kicks, in my mind, incorrectly. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. If you have not already booked your own training session on Zoom, I can help you with so many things. Go and check out my booking link right now. Join the channel, get subscribed if you have not already. And as always, guys, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another episode.